All right, what is going on, everybody? We are back on the game lands today, out after some doves. We are headed back to the grit field we were in last week's episode. To mix things up a little bit and keep it interesting, we are letting the pretty bird rest. We have the mossberg out today. There's nothing too incredibly special about this gun. It's just a standard Model 635 12 gauge pump shotgun. It does have a long barrel on it, much longer than the Winchester, and we have a habit of, or a history I should say, of not getting along. I don't know what it is about this gun, but I haven't done great with it, so I'm hoping to change that tonight. Well folks, to make a long story short, I sat there for about 45 minutes and didn't even see a dove in the distance. So I'm a little concerned. I think what might have happened was that our temperatures might be pushing them out of these fields. Now for the last week or so, it's been, well, the days have been around the 60s, maybe low 70s, but our nights have been getting down to the 50s. So I'm worried what may have happened was these doves got either pushed south or into somebody's grain bins. Regardless, they're not in the grit field anymore. So I'm gonna run across the road real quick, scope out the sunflowers. I guess we'll see if anything's there. Catch you then. All right, folks, well, we have made it across the road. Sunflower fields are just down below us. And in the process of getting the stuff out of the car, we bumped a dove out of this dead tree out here in front of us. So, as I suspected, there's a dove that just re-landed in that tree and just took off again. Okay. It was my suspicion that any birds that might be lingering rather than migrating. Oh, they cut those sunflowers. Well, it looks like they cut the sunflowers down. Interesting. Well, I was kind of hoping they would keep those up just to provide a little more feed for any doves that may remain in the area. But it appears that was not the case. Well, I suppose we'll take a little lap around down here. We've got about 45 minutes of shooting light left. So we'll see what, if anything, is left. Alright, well, there's a good chance this doesn't turn into a full episode on its own, but I'd like to at least get one dove down. Surely there's one that didn't get the memo to migrate yet, or hide in somebody's grain bin. This leads me to another topic I had in mind. So, these fields, come October, are stocked for pheasants. I didn't bother buying a pheasant tag this year, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get out and do it, what with archery and whatnot. But I'm thinking that it might add a little bit of a spice and variety into these videos. So, if you'd like to see me do some pheasant hunting, solo and without a dog, make sure you drop it in the comments down below. I'll be back up to these fields, patrolling around, and if I can time it right, chances are we might be able to pull a few pheasants this season. Well, folks, it ain't looking good. I just walked the entire perimeter of these game lands and all I got was swamp ass. So I figured we just set up here underneath the tree that we kicked that one alleged dove out of on the way in, just in case any more happen to fly by. From the looks of it, I think that was the last dove in the county. Alright everybody, well, as you can see, I'm a little bit more high vis today, and that is because we're going to be doing a little bit of squirrel hunting. It appears our recent cold snap has pushed the doves out of the area. So, with 10 days left until archery season statewide opener, the only thing left to hunt right now is squirrels. I figure we'll take the opportunity today to do a little bit of last minute scouting, look around for a couple of bushy tails, and maybe get a nice little snack for later. I'm not planning on taking too many today, so maybe just a couple will be enough for a yeet and eat. I'm kind of keeping my stuff together right now, keeping it a little bit down because we just bumped the spike buck off the road here. So I'm looking around to see if he'll come back, but it'd be cool just to get some footage of him. But either way, I'm gonna start heading in here. I'm gonna get you strapped to my head. Today's weapon of choice is going to be my Marlin 22 LR. As you can see, I got the Tacticam, got the old scope camera on. I played around with the settings. I've got it to about as good as it's gonna get. So it might not be ideal, but I think that's because of the scope that I'm using. There's not a whole lot of focus adjustment and really things to be playing with. And also, for the life of me, cannot get the settings to save right. So I'm gonna play around with it, try to learn how to use it a little bit better as a scope camera. That way, by the time rifle season comes around, we have it figured out. And if I'm not tagged out by then, we can get it rolling. So I've come back here a couple times already. I've seen one squirrel, but this is where all the feed seems to be on these game lands. So I'm gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna sit here for a little while. If nothing moves on its own, then I'm gonna bounce around to a couple different spots on this game lands and see if we can run up a squirrel. So that being said, I'm gonna get into the spot and I'll catch you in there. Oh, we got a little chipmunk here at like 15 yards. Unfortunately, just the wrong species. Hopefully we get a gray. Comes along and does the same thing. All right, well, after about an hour of seeing nothing with chipmunks and hearing acorns drop, decided to do a little bit of moving. Evidently, that spot ain't it. I don't know why. There's holes in about every other tree. Acorns all over the ground. There's no squirrels. So we're gonna do a little bit of relocating around. Little bouncing. Might head over to the other side of the game lands, see if any acorns are dropping over there. And if so, maybe we do a little setup. So I'm gonna kick this thing off to save a little bit of battery. I'll bring it back if we run into anything. Oh, I seen him. He's under this log. He's inside the log. You little shit, you. Alright, well, I'm gonna work on getting him out of here. This might take some doing. Okay, he's now exposed. Let's go ahead and put him out.
I don't think that team
he is now officially done. Well. Alright, well. We sat for another probably 2 hours after we killed that last squirrel, and nothing really happened. So I'm gonna do a little bit of driving around on these game lands, see if I can see anything running. If not, we'll just run him home and cook him. But if we still see some stuff running, I got a couple more spots to check out. So we are gonna do that. And I guess you'll see next what we do. All right, well, we've made it to the other side of the game lands now. We are heading in on the main trail. Probably just gonna still hunt my way along the main trail. Didn't see any squirrels from the road, but there's a couple chippies, and if the chippies are out, I don't see why the squirrels wouldn't be. Regardless, this gives me an excuse to get back in here and look around to see if any acorns are dropping on this side. It seemed like the place we were in last year doesn't have a whole lot of acorns dropping this year. So, figured I'd come back to this section of the game lands, do a little check around, see if we can find any rubs, scrapes, acorns, and also maybe some squirrels. Stay tuned. Well, folks, so far no squirrels, but looks like we found our side dish. A whole freaking motherlode chicken of the woods. So we're gonna take that off. I wish I'd have brought a knife with me. Can't believe I didn't. We're gonna throw some of this in the bag. Ah, there we go. We got a nice side dish to go with our squirrel. Whole big wad chicken of the woods. All right, cool. Throw that in the pack. I think we'll leave the rest of this. Heck yeah. Well, folks, that went rather poorly, if I do say so myself. And I do. Fortunately, we were able to pull one gray squirrel this morning and a real nice hunk of chicken in the woods. So what I'm going to do is take them back to the house, get them cooked up, and let you know how they are. See you in the kitchen. Well, folks, I don't know what to tell you. Never in my life would I have imagined that finding a squirrel in the woods in Pennsylvania would be that difficult. But find one we did. And we also managed to find a nice chicken of the woods mushroom. So I figured today, we're going to find out which tastes more like chicken. Stay tuned. Well, since we have some chicken of the trees and chicken of the woods, I've decided to whip out a secret sauce that I brought back with me from Jamaica. This is authentic Jamaican jerk sauce. And so we are going to be making a little bit of jerk chicken with no chicken. Step number one is the marinated squirrel meat. So I have here just a standard Ziploc bag. We're going to toss our squirrel in. I really only mess with the hind quarter, but I know a lot of people that will eat them whole. I just don't feel like picking around all the bones. So I take the hind quarter, and that's about it. Ideally, I would have had more, but they never showed up. So this is what we got. We're going to take our marinade sauce. If you haven't seen the fishing video I made while I was in Jamaica, go check that out after this video. But this is authentic Jamaican jerk sauce from Jamaica. So we're just going to add a bit of our sauce into the bag with the meat. That should be plenty. We're going to seal it up. Make sure their pieces are good and coated. I can smell the spice already, so you know it's authentic. Wow. Hell yeah. So, we're going to set that in the fridge and let it marinate for a couple hours. I don't think you can marinate mushrooms because they're going to get soggy, but I'm going to keep a little bit of this sauce to throw on top after they're cooked. Now, I just want to do a quick disclaimer about eating wild mushrooms. If you don't know 100% what it is you're eating, don't pick it. Don't eat it. Don't even touch it. There was a small brown mushroom that was touching the top of this piece of chicken of the woods. I didn't know what it was, and it actually discolored a small section of the mushroom. So I went ahead and just removed that piece entirely. Don't play with mushrooms if you don't know what you're doing. And even if you do know what you're doing, just double and triple check. I'm still pretty new when it comes to mushrooms, so I stick to kind of the basics. You know, chicken of the woods, hen of the woods, chanterelles, morels, and oysters. Those are some of the common ones that we find around here that don't have a whole lot of mimics, and they're just simple and easy to identify. So I stick to those. But regardless, 100% of the time, you need to be certain that what you're eating is what you think it is, or it could end up very bad. But you can do most of the cleanup work right at the site where you find chicken in the woods. And basically all you do is take a knife, cut it off the tree, and you can leave the tough bit stuck to where you found it. I didn't do that because I didn't have a knife with me, but when I brought it home here, I was able to trim away any of the pieces that weren't tender, any of that tough, almost woody bits that were at the base of the mushroom. I could just trim them off. And basically any parts that didn't look like something I wanted to eat, whether they were bruised and mushy, or maybe they had some bugs in them. Cut it all out, and these are what I was able to harvest out of that mushroom. So, we are going to be preparing the squirrel and the mushroom in the same way. We're going to be grilling them and serving them with some Jamaican jerk sauce. So, we're going to let that squirrel marinate, and I'll get back to you in a bit. Okay, so some time has passed, and these bad boys have now been marinating for about 6 hours. So if that doesn't take any hint of gaminess out of them, I do not know what will. Now, I'm also going to light the grill. It is now dark outside. Let me extend this so I don't have to keep cracking my neck. Don't you do it. You're doing it. All right, new angle. Same stuff. So, I guess we're going to start off with the mushroom because that's probably going to take the longest. The squirrel, I'm really only putting a sear on it, so it shouldn't take too terribly long. Now to cook this mushroom, we want to get that burner on about medium heat. And we're going to slap a little bit of butter in the pan. Basically the idea is you want to kind of fry this in the pan, but instead of being in a bath of butter or oil, you're just kind of going to let it cook on there. You're also going to need a second pan, which will come in handy later for the squirrel. But you want something heavy on top in order to help kind of crush out the extra moisture of the chicken mushroom. So, we're going to let this bad boy heat up, and we're going to get to cooking. Alright, so now our pan's starting to get nice and hot. We can just take our little stick of butter, rub it around on there till we have a nice little base. We don't want it too hot that the butter starts burning, but we want it hot enough that it's going to melt that butter and liquefy it just about instantly. So once you get a good little bit of butter on that pan, I'm using salted butter. You can use unsalted butter and add a little extra salt for flavor if you want. I eat salted butter. Anyhow, we're going to start off with our thickest piece. Oh yeah, should get to sizzling right off the drop. Here we go. A little bit. So we're going to stick this pan right down over top of it. That'll help kind of wring out some of that extra moisture in there. And when that's done, it's going to come out just like a chicken breast. Stay tuned. So this is going to take probably about 5 minutes aside, but essentially what you want is for the mushroom to start to turn golden brown. I just realized I don't have a spatula, and I dripped hot butter directly onto my hand. Go team. Yeah, I'll be right back. Now the thing you want to keep an eye on isn't so much the mushroom itself, but the butter around it. You want to make sure that butter isn't turning dark brown or black, meaning your skillet's too hot and you're burning the butter. That's what we want to try to avoid. We're going to give this a little flip, and there we have it. Get in close. You're going to like this. See, it's starting to brown up real nice. So we're going to let it ride on this side for a little bit to start to brown up. And we're going to flip it back, let it finish browning. And by then it probably should be about done. If you want to help speed this up, you can break it down into smaller chunks as well. I've already cut a few pieces off to make it a little quicker. Alright, now these don't take very long to cook. And you'll know they're done when they start to actually kind of look like chicken. Let's see here. You can see the burnt butter in there. My skillet went too hot. But you can flip this piece back over to where it was. Please, I beg of you, cooperate. There it is. You can see it gets a little bit of a color, almost like a grilled chicken as well. Plus, it's nice and tender. So when it's tender and golden brown, that's when your mushroom's done. You want to make sure you cook these thoroughly. So they can give you an upset stomach if they're undercooked. You also don't want to eat these mushrooms raw. Alright, I remembered what I was going to say. If you haven't eaten chicken of the woods before, definitely start by eating just a small amount. Because some people have been known to have an allergic reaction to the mushroom itself. It doesn't affect everybody. Only certain people can be allergic to the chicken of the woods mushroom. It's going to give you upset stomach, digestive issues, things of that nature. It's just generally not a good time. I don't think it can kill you, but it's not going to be fun. Also, it turns out that the skillet on top is optional. And if you're grilling, if you're grilling this chicken of the woods mushroom, you use the skillet to put grill marks on it. What I didn't realize was, I'm not grilling. I'm cooking it in a skillet, sauteing. So, you cook it till the moisture's out of it, and the mushroom itself starts to turn a golden brown. That's about all there is to cooking chicken of the woods. Catch you when it's time to cook the squirrel. So now, our mushrooms are done. We can move that skillet out of the way. Must be a little butter on the bottom. That'll buff out. We can take our little skillet, put it onto the burner. Turn it back up to, we'll put it at about 4. And instead of butter, this time we're going to throw in a little olive oil. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a drizzle here. Very nice, very nice. Let that heat up a bit. Get the pan nice and coated in it. Then we'll take our pieces of meat that have been marinating for way too long, but it's okay. And we're just going to drop them right into that oil. Ooh, you can hear them start to sizzle. And you can smell that spice. Holy crap. This is going to be fantastic. So, it's recommended that you cook all wild game to an internal temperature of around 160. So it's pretty close to chicken. Hilariously enough. So, we have our little meat thermometer here. We're going to give it a couple minutes on this side. Flip the legs over. Give it a couple more minutes and give it a test. Okay, so while the squirrel's over there doing its thing, here's a little close-up of that chicken of the woods. Now it's not burnt, the butter turned brown and seared on there. If you look close, you can see That's just golden brown butter. And it's fantastic. So what we're going to do, take our Jamaican jerk seasoning and just give it a little drizzle. And go easy with this stuff if you're not used to it. Just a couple little splotches, oh boy, per nugget of mushroom. And that'll do you plenty. I'm just gonna roll these around in their own juices. Let them kind of mini marinate. Just get them nice and coated in that seasoning. And that will burn you from the inside out, which is the best way to eat just about anything. Alright, so once your squirrel hits 160 internal, there she goes. Pull her out of the skillet, set it over here with the mushrooms. Ew! I wish you could smell it again. This is just... This is fantastic. I can't describe it. And there you have it. Chicken two ways when none of them are chicken. Let's give it a shot. So first up, we're going to start off with the jerk chicken of the woods mushroom, just because that's what's speaking to me right now. And also it didn't just come straight off the skillet. So to avoid burning my face like lava, we have our nice seasoned up chunk of jerk chicken of the woods. Well, that's incredible. Chicken of the woods is unique. It's a very unique mushroom because it does taste like chicken, but it tastes like plain chicken. Like this just tastes like you boiled a chicken breast. And there you have it. Like, there's nothing crazy about it. It's just like boiled chicken breast. And the seasoning just adds like a whole new flavor to that. And a whole new level of heat. It's fantastic. I think these are no longer the surface of the sun. So let's give it a shot with the Jamaican jerk squirrel. It's a little tough. Wow. I was not expecting that. Ah. It is a little tough, but squirrel meat usually is. It's not gamey at all. I'm trying to figure out what that flavor is. It's like a rich, like a hearty texture almost. If you can taste hearty, that's about what this is. And being marinated for so long in the Jamaican jerk seasoning, there's a spice to it. It's like really spicy comfort food. Wow. That is incredible.
All right, so of the two, man, it is really difficult to pick a favorite. I think I'm going to give it to the squirrel. There's just something about the texture of meat, even though it's tough. If I can make it a little more tender, I would eat that all day. And the mushroom's great too. I feel like the mushroom is a little more like toned down because it wasn't marinated in the sauce. It's just kind of slathered on top. That's good. That's also good. All right. Which one do you think would be your favorite? Make sure you leave it down in the comments. If you like today's video, make sure you click the thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to see more like it, and I'll see you in the next one.